All right. Hi, I'm Brad Burrow.
And I'm David Jackson.
And this is the Digital Disruptors podcast. So thanks for joining us today. This is episode number 2. Wow. It feels like we've come so far.
Yeah.
So far that we can actually add some sound effects. So you want to...
Oh.
We may show up as pirates on one episode.
Oh, yeah. You never know. Keep watching.
Exciting stuff here. So today we're going to talk about what we call the digital marketing mountain. And why don't you describe what that is, David? You've kind of come up with this idea, but tell us in general what that means.
Yeah, so the digital marketing mountain is meant to be a sequence of events that you follow in order with your digital marketing to actually ascend to new heights and grow your business to revenues that you've never seen before.
And it's a step-by-step kind of process that, kind of like a video game. You get past one step, then you can go to step 2, that kind of thing, right?
That's exactly right. And it's very important that you complete the step prior before you move on to the next step, because you have to get that done. It's, the foundation, the fundamentals. Oftentimes people think that they need to start halfway up the mountain, but if you're climbing Mount Everest, you do it one step at a time.
Yeah. Well, so that's the idea, and you're seeing a graphic on screen that actually kind of shows what that is. And what we want to do in this podcast is really just kind of talk a little bit briefly about each one of these steps and explain what those steps are and kind of what they mean. And then in later podcasts, we're really going to dive into each one of these topics and really try to get an understanding of what all that means and kind of the deeper dive into, Google profiles as an example. So The first step is lead generation and management. Talk about that. What is that?
So when you start a digital marketing campaign, especially if you're brand new and a bit of a smaller company, the first thing you need to do is start generating leads. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to do a lot of the other tactics because they often take very long. So for instance, like a local HVAC company or a plumbing company may not really want to start with content marketing because it's going to take so long to see any real results, and that's a lot of money that you have to spend to facilitate that without seeing a return. So lead generation and management really just comes down to starting with a lead gen platform such as Google LSA, which stands for Local Service Ads.
Okay.
It puts you right at the top of Google. People see you, they pick you, and then they call you. And the best part about Google LSA is it's a pay per lead service. So you're actually not paying to be shown. You're not paying for impressions, and you're not paying for clicks like traditional Google ads. You're actually paying when you get a call. So it's very attractive, and it puts you right at the top of Google. So it's a great way to start getting leads quickly. Now, getting into the second part of this is the management. It's funny because a lot of times a business will engage in digital marketing, but they're not ready to handle the leads that come their way. So we highly recommend that you need to have a CRM of some sort in place that has automations built in. So that's the second part of this phase 1 of the mountain, is having a solid CRM that's not only going to help manage all of your customers and contacts, but it's going to actually do a lot of automations, such as following up with the customer, setting appointments, sending reminders, reaching out to them after a few months after you've done your service. All of those things are very important for keeping your consistency and momentum in check. A couple of the other things, just to wrap up the first phase, you have to optimize your Google Business Profile. Your Google Business Profile is and always will be, especially for a local business, the most inexpensive lead you can generate is going to come from your Google Business Profile. That's going to be where the majority of your phone calls come from, the majority of your store visits. They're all coming from that. And it's a free thing. It's something that Google gives you for free, but most people set it up and then they never touch it. But activity is an important ranking factor, and there's more that we'll dive into in a future podcast, but you just need to make sure it's up to date, optimized, ready to go.
So activity on your Google profile is a ranking factor for SEO?
Absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely. It makes an impact in how often it's shown. Like, essentially, Google just wants to know that you're using the Google Business Profile. It's not the end all be all. It's certainly not the highest ranking factor, but it's an important one. But most people set it up and then they never touch it. They don't even respond to their reviews.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I mean, I bet people don't even realize that that's the case. I mean, most people don't even.
Yeah, there's so much about your Google Business Profile that has become more important. And I would say that we're entering into a phase where the Google Business Profile is more important than your actual website.
Okay, we got to pause the podcast because I got to go work on my profile. Just so no, that's just
yeah, and
that's amazing. Yeah.
And the very last thing to touch on with this first phase is your website is also a part of that that first phase. Oftentimes, just with an upgraded design and a restructured website, you can see an increase in what you're already doing. So without even having to spend a dime other than the website on marketing, just redesigning it can increase your conversion rates, increase the number of people that want to work with you. Because as we talked about on the last podcast, that perception is very important and that trust is very important. So when it comes time to what you should focus on first in your digital marketing journey, get your website in order, update your Google Business Profile, make sure that you explore and turn on Google LSA to start generating leads, and please get a CRM in place so you can manage the business that starts to come your way. Because, you know, if you make enough customers go, wait a minute, they don't know what they're doing, or they haven't followed up, or they didn't call me for weeks, you know, our metro is pretty small, so that can probably burn you pretty quick. But you just don't want to have that customers think that about your business.
Yeah, that's correct. So number 2 is increase footprint and leads. So talk about that and Google Ads and Meta ads on all the software or all the platforms, it sounds like.
Yeah. So the first phase, the Google LSA, it's less risky because it was pay per lead. Now, when we're getting into increasing your footprint and leads, we say increase footprint because you're starting to advertise on other platforms. So you're getting into Google Ads, which takes up more space on the search engine results page. So you're actually going to be showing up there. And then Meta ads, which is Facebook and Instagram, you're going to be showing up there as well. Now, it's not to say that you have to do all three at once, because there is a big difference between Meta and Google. Meta, Facebook, and Instagram, those ads are more disruptive to people. So as they're scrolling, you're interrupting them and putting your ad in their face. Now, and the intent's not always there, but it's not to say that they don't work. It's just the intent is not as strong as Google, where someone types in a particular keyword.
They're looking for something.
That's right. And they want it, and then you're putting yourself there. So it's more expensive to advertise on Google Ads versus Meta. But all in all, when you've built up enough revenue from phase 1 to be able to get into phase 2, you absolutely need to start advertising on either Google Ads or Meta or a combination of the two.
Yeah. And would you say that there's different target audiences that on each of the platforms? Do you guys get into that at all? I mean, people that are buying ads, or you're going to obviously with Google, it's agnostic probably a little bit as far as target audience goes. But when you come to Facebook or Instagram or even TikTok or something like that, Twitter, it's completely different set of demographics. Yeah,
like Facebook has done a pretty great job recently, because it used to be that there was a certain type of audience there, but you can really find a lot of businesses on there now.
Yeah.
Facebook, people don't really post as much, but everyone scrolls on Facebook.
Yeah.
People scroll, and Facebook recently improved their algorithms with AI to get really good at targeting. It's crazy. Like, you almost don't even have to put in a lot of detailed targeting settings.
Yeah.
Facebook just does it for you and matches the ad very, very well.
No kidding.
But as far as audience split is concerned, the funnel is much larger on Facebook and Instagram. And again, that goes back to the fact that those people aren't as warm. They may be in the beginning stages of the buying process and they're interested, but they're not ready to purchase. But on Google, those people are near the bottom of the funnel. It's more expensive as a result.
Yeah.
However, they're pretty close to buying or ready to buy right there. Exactly.
Right. Yeah, that makes total sense. Authority building. Let's talk about the next thing.
Yeah, so this is the fun part. Authority building.
Don't you have to say the authority building?
Yeah. Yeah, maybe we could play one of those sound effects. The authority building really comes down to setting yourself up as an authority through content. So a lot of times people will produce blog content, and this blog content is, when's the best time to replace my roof? What are why does the drain, smell weird? What's going on down there? What should I do about this? It's topics that people are asking about, and they're looking for answers on, and you're putting your unique perspective on that answer through blog content. Now, that's one way to build authority. The second way, which is the more effective way, is to do that through video. So same concept, you're figuring out what are these questions that parents are asking, or what are these questions that homeowners are asking, or whatever it may be. Mm-hmm. And then you're putting together videos answering those questions with your unique perspective, and then providing examples. And so you do that over time, and people will start to look at your business as a resource and an authority and an expert on this subject.
I think a lot of business owners miss that. Mm-hmm. Would you agree with that, David? I mean, it's like I see a lot of people think, well, I don't need to do that.
Yeah, a lot of people either don't do it or it's very generic. And unfortunately, ChatGPT has enabled a lot of generic content to just be blasted all over the internet. And I mean, we all see it. We all see it. It's funny because I've seen so many ChatGPT articles, and we use ChatGPT. I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's great. But oftentimes people get in there and then they just straight generate something from ChatGPT and then use it.
Yeah.
Or they change it, and they do very little to edit that content. What is important when it comes to building authority is having a unique perspective. So I know that you can get information from researching other sites. I know you can get a lot of information from ChatGPT, but if you're writing about this, you should be the expert. Right. You should have stories. You should have an understanding of your industry. And that's really what rises, that's the cream that rises to the top.
Do you feel like Google can tell the difference? I mean, they obviously know if it's AI driven or if it's written by a human.
They do know. And there are tools that you can use. There's probably one of the most popular ones that I've seen is called originality.ai. You can go there and you can type in your content and it'll tell you if it's AI. It'll give you an AI score and it'll give you a human score. And if you generated it from ChatGPT, even if you change it a little bit, it'll say, yeah, this is still like 70% AI. The goal. Right? Yeah, it's a pretty good tool. And
does a laser come down from from the moon and take you out if you've done it on AI?
It blasts your content into smithereens. Yeah. But if you there are sites and there are companies paying for someone to produce their content, and they're just being loaded up with AI content, and then they wonder why are we ranking? Why aren't we generating traffic? Well, this content is it's not unique.
Yeah.
And so with the problem of the internet being flooded with all of this content, how do you determine what gets ranked and what doesn't? It's a unique perspective.
Yeah. That could be a podcast episode right there.
Oh yeah.
Talking
100%.
about AI and what really works and what really doesn't work.
Yeah.
Maybe you're getting hurt by it.
Yeah, it's hurting a lot of sites. I mean, it is. And this is another podcast, but that Google released their AI overview update a few months ago. And now when you search for a particular keyword, sometimes Google's AI pops up at the top of the search engine and just gives you the answer. And so they are taking articles that people have written and they're just giving you a summary right up top. And so if you're really not putting in a lot of effort into your content, first, you may not get there, but even if you do get there, you'll probably end up in that result. But ending up in that result's not bad because you still get traffic from it.
Yeah, right.
But, it's just with AI, you really need a unique perspective to be successful.
Yeah. Well, that's really interesting. So definitely, there's a lot of topics that we're really going to dive into on this podcast that are really going to help people. I'm going to learn something because I'm excited about it. Okay, so number 4, recapture attention.
Yeah.
I see the retargeting stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, but you're right. I mean, there's a really strong reason to do that. So we've got to recapture somebody. they were excited about this particular website when they saw it, but they've lost. It's gone. Their mind's filled with other things. We got to bring that back to them. So talk about that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. What you said. Someone visits your website, and then they are retargeted mainly through Meta, Facebook, Instagram, or any other platform, even Google Ads, and they're seeing your brand. And so you can retarget them with a graphic, a particular message, or even a video. But yeah, you're just trying to get back in front of them because they showed initial interest. So it's also a lot cheaper to advertise that way than just going cold, because
retargeting is
really, because you're actually spending money only on people who showed initial interest. So a lot of times people will run an ad, and they'll run an ad to a particular landing page, and then that person just left or wasn't interested, or they may have even gotten to a certain phase. Like, let's say there's a multi-step form and they got to step 3. You can track that to the point of when they go to Facebook or whatever and they're scrolling later, it'll say, hey, why don't you finish the form? You got to step 3. Why don't you finish it? We see this all the time with e-commerce.
Yeah.
If you add a pair of Nikes to your cart and you go to Facebook, they're going to say, hey, check out. It's in your cart. Yeah. This is the particular shoe. Yeah. And so you can set all of that up and track all of that, and it gives you really good data. But yeah, it's just, if you're doing authority building, you should be generating a lot more traffic than you were prior to doing authority building. So it makes sense with your newly increased traffic to start trying to recapture as much of that traffic as you can.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes total sense. I've had that thing happen on the shopping cart thing too.
Yeah.
But what I do is get a discount. Say, well, if you come back and take off 25%, use this code, whatever.
I used to do that with this company. I think they caught on to me, but there was this company called Huel. Huel, and I don't know if I'm going to get an ad because I've talked about this now, but it was interesting because it's a 400 calorie like meal in a bottle type deal.
Yeah.
And I thought it was pretty good. It's good when it's cold.
Yeah.
And I used to go there and then I would leave because I knew they were going to give me like a 15%. And then I would get it and go buy some. But they stopped. They don't do that anymore. Yeah. I think too many people caught on.
Figured it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Giving away 15% of your margin every time. So.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so that was number 4. Now we want to stay top of mind. One thing on the recapture attention side, you talked about the video aspect of it. One of the things that you had mentioned earlier is that having a video when somebody comes back there, that's a really good place to have a little bit of fun and build some brand awareness. Somebody comes back again or said, hey, you left, come on back, man.
Yeah. That's an immediate like slam dunk connection to your brand doing that. If they come to your landing page, even through an ad or just to your website, and let's say they didn't click on a video at all, you get to follow them with that video, and then they get an immediate introduction to, let's say, the owner or the sales manager or whoever it is that's charismatic. They get that immediate connection to them. They see the brand, they see your company in motion. They get an insight to, the culture. Like you mentioned on the last podcast, they get like 1 million words communicated to them from that brief visit. Video is the best way to not only do the authority building, but also the recapturing. So both of those phases benefit greatly from having video content.
Yeah, that's amazing. Okay, so now we want to stay top of mind. We've built up to this level, and we want to start looking at campaigns and referral programs.
Yeah. So the campaigns are or staying top of mind is really comes down to like email marketing and SMS marketing. So it's a lot of direct message marketing to the customer. So after going through these first few phases, especially if you have your CRM working well, you should have built up a substantial customer base. So you should have a bunch of emails, a bunch of phone numbers, et cetera, in your CRM. But oftentimes, businesses just don't do anything with that list. Yeah. They have them in there, but they don't touch the list. They're not sending out anything to them.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, when times get slow, they're just kind of sitting thinking, oh, well, we need to just increase our leads. We need more leads. Well, you don't always need more leads. And I know that sounds crazy to say, especially doing digital marketing.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need to tap into the list you already have. And there are people that are willing to do business with you again. They might have a new project, but they forgot about you.
Right.
Like it's funny. I will publish our finding on this, but I think I saw a stat that said the average plumbing company, like a customer will do business with them, and then 6-7 months later, they'll go with another plumbing company because they forgot who fixed their sump pump.
Is
And
that
it's
right?
like, yeah, I don't remember who came. Somebody came. That happens also with lawyers too. Like a year later, they forgot who even did the case.
Wow, isn't that amazing?
It's crazy. And so if you're not touching those people or hitting them with some kind of messaging, you're basically a ghost. Even though they're in the system, you're a ghost. And you can do that with networking events, people you met through networking, people you met through whatever means. Just have some kind of touch point. So if they're seeing a message from you, weekly, monthly, whatever it is, they at least you're getting a brand impression on them when they need help. You never know when they need help, but it's dirt cheap to send email and thousands of emails, even text. It's not very expensive.
I wonder about texting. It seems like that's happening a lot more now.
Yeah.
Email seems very, that's a great way. You've already got a relationship with somebody. You're just saying, hey, here's what we're up to now, or how you doing, that kind of thing. But the texting, how do you feel about texting? I mean, it feels like a little bit intrusive.
It is. It really depends on. There's context to it. Texting, I believe, has to come very shortly after the interaction. I think that if texting happens just out of the blue somewhere, it can be annoying because it's annoying for me.
Yeah.
But
Who is this?
Yeah, like what's going on? I think one of the coolest examples of a text campaign that actually got me, I didn't go back, but I need to, and I need to congratulate them.
Yeah.
I wasn't like, I didn't want it. But I went to a Chinese restaurant that's pretty close to where I live, and I ordered, I don't know, some kind of, noodles or fried rice or something.
Yeah.
And 3 or 4 days later, I get a text.
Yeah.
And it says, you did it once, you can do it again. And it had a picture of what I ordered.
Oh, is that right?
And I said, wow. And then it said, order now, blah, blah, and had a link. And I said, you know what? That was awesome. I thought that was one of the coolest. But I think it has to happen pretty quickly. I think it can also, like, you service somebody and then you could send a text message out. But you can, it still can be the case that you can text customers months or 3 months, 6 months after. It is intrusive, but if you get an opt-in or you let them know ahead of time that we're going to remind you about your routine checkups via text or via email and give them the choice, then it's not as bad.
Now that I can see that, I get that from doctors' offices and stuff like that as well. But just kind of an out of the blue text, I don't know. And I feel like there's different types of companies that would work better for.
It is true.
Potentially.
Yeah.
So we can get into all that.
Uh-huh.
I would love to get into all that on one of the podcast episodes.
Yeah.
Next one, we got 2 more to boost brand connection. So, brand focus, higher quality content. You're going to be looking at YouTube channel.
Yeah.
That type of thing, more strategy focused.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Yeah. So it is mainly about producing video, because I do believe that one of the strongest ways to increase your brand connection is through video. Mm-hmm. Again, people are going to know who you are, know who your team is, know the culture. They're going to see all of that and they're going to get it quickly. And it's going to be delivered in the most universal way for different types of customers and how their brains work.
Right.
So I think that it's mainly about producing video, but with that video, you need to get it on YouTube. You need to get it on social media platforms, and you probably want to run ads to it. You can also get these videos out on things like Hulu, streaming services, over the top advertising. You can put all of that out there, but it's mainly about producing video content, because that's going to increase that connection. There are other things you can do to increase brand connection that don't involve video, but it's just not as effective. We're talking like, billboards or putting up like signs and things. I mean, and you do all of that much, much earlier in your marketing process anyway, but video is what I'm really talking about when it comes to improving the brand connection that customers have with you.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I think about the quality when you're talking about brand. the quality of the video is a big important factor of that. I mean, you can't just throw something up and expect it to really be driving home brand values and things like that.
Yeah.
That's where your budgets come into play.
That's
but
right.
If you're at that level, if you're at level 6 on our mountain, the budget is something that you're going to be able to put some funds toward and create really, really awesome content that's impacting audiences.
That's right. And you're really telling the stories too. You're telling your story, you're telling the stories of the people that you've helped impact and change their lives.
Yeah.
Because that's really going to make your brand extremely strong. I mean, that's really what all of the big brands are doing. If you look at a Coca-Cola ad, just from the last 10 years, none of them are telling you, hey, buy a Coca-Cola because it's really good and it's refreshing and it's cold. And they don't even talk about Coca-Cola. It's usually people that are having fun, enjoying themselves at a party. They don't even talk most of the time. But they're associating their brand with a fun time with friends getting together.
Yeah.
But they don't even talk about the product at all. You already know Coke, and so they can get away with that.
Yeah.
But this is what I'm talking about, associating your brand with a particular feeling. And that's what happens in 6. And the best way to do that is with video.
And quality and talk about a YouTube channel. I mean, YouTube's used to be the second most searched website. Is that still the?
It's still the case.
Yeah,
that's still the case.
So, I mean, you got to be there, right?
You do. Like I don't know if I already said it, but I think that a YouTube channel is one of the most important investments any business can make today. I mean, you have to be on there. You have to be on there because of how people consume content today. It's all video. I mean, TikTok, the amount of time people spend on their Instagram, YouTube Reels. I mean, people are on there all the time, and that's where they're consuming the content. So you have to be on there. And the other thing, your competitors probably not on there because a lot of people don't like to get on camera. It's pretty tough.
Yeah.
It's intimidating. You don't want to mess up. You don't want to go,
Yeah.
But you have to do it because you may be the only one. Like, I can probably count on one hand how many landscapers have a YouTube channel in Kansas City. And so, but that's where people are going. So if you get on there, you're going to be so much further ahead until people catch up. But who knows when that's going to happen?
It's so underutilized.
Yeah.
And I don't know why that hasn't become more prevalent in small businesses. Like that we have to do that.
Yeah. And it's the other thing too, is like the content barrier was torn down when AI came out. It used to be that people couldn't produce great content that quickly, but now ChatGPT made it to now where you can now.
Yeah.
But video, it's not the case. Like, you can't fake a video as well as you can fake being a great content writer. Like, that's you on camera. That's you talking. That's you having this shot. You can't fake that. Even when some of these AI tools come out for video, I don't think they're going to be able to replicate the true authenticity of just getting someone out there to shoot the video and produce it in a way that's high quality.
Yeah.
So there's a real opportunity for businesses to get a YouTube channel and get ahead of their competitors. And they're going to be like thankful they did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do it now.
Yeah. Get on there.
So the last thing, the New Heights, not the Travis Kelce podcast, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. But really in this level, it's just tweaking.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're wanting to get our conversion rate from, 20% to 25%, and knowing that if we do that, our revenue is going to go up this much, and that's where that level is. That's fun. I mean, I'm just going to do this, and wow, look what that did.
Absolutely. Like the New Heights, that's where you're looking from essentially the top of the mountain. All of your digital marketing tactics are in place and running on all cylinders. But by then you should have a formula in place.
Yeah.
I know that every 1,000 visitors that come to my site, we're going to make $50,000. Like that, you should be that dialed in by that point. And if you are, you could say, well, how do we get 2,000 visitors? And like what you said too, we're at 20% conversion rate. Maybe we tweak this, do this, make this change to this ad, make this change to this video, whatever, get to 25%. And we know that that's going to make us this much. So really you're playing with the formula, but the formula is dialed in. You have true business intelligence on what it takes to make money, make revenue through your marketing, and you're tweaking that and adjusting that accordingly. And that also makes your business so much more valuable, because if someone wants to come in and buy you up and you tell them, oh yeah, we have a system and a formula for our marketing, I mean, sign me up.
Already figured out. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Figuring out that formula is challenging.
It is, and it takes time. And that's why you have to go through each of these steps to get yourself to that point. Because as you're going through, you are finding out formulas for different things. Okay, Google Ads, I know that formula now. Meta, I know that formula, the content we produce, the videos we produce. But at the end of the day, you're going to have all of them, and you're going to be able to mess with all of them, and while all the other things are firing. And
right.
all you do is you're just tweaking them, and you may explore other opportunities too. You know, you may get more involved in your community, charity events, sponsors. You may try other marketing tactics offline, but for the most part, you've conquered that digital marketing mountain by that point.
So I want to go ahead and wrap up, and I was looking at kind of some of the things that we want to talk about, also from a video standpoint. But I think on the next episode, we should probably get into at least the number one, the foundational thing on the mountain, and really talk about Google profiles, CRMs. I'd really love to get into that a little bit more, but also on the video side, maybe talking about, the rise of mobile.
Yes.
I mean, we are shooting stuff now for some of our bigger brands with cinema cameras, but we're turning them on the side so we can shoot them.
Yeah.
So it's 6K, but it's like this.
That's interesting.
So that kind of thing, is because they're realizing they need to be on TikTok, and they need to be, but we need to shoot it in a way that it's still looks amazing.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And so there's things like that happening that we can talk about from a video standpoint, live video, e-commerce. That's another thing I really wanted to talk about. I mean, there are tons of statistics out there about how conversion rates go up when there's a video on a landing page or a product page. Especially, like, I know there's a company that sells suitcases.
Yeah.
And this is the guy that's sped up, and he's opening and he's showing you this. And I'm even seeing RV ads now where they're speeding up the video, and there's no audio, maybe music, but they're opening the deals and they're putting the slide out and they're doing all these things. And, in 1 minute, you're seeing every feature of the RV.
Yep.
So that's converting.
Oh, absolutely.
Those types of things. So I'd love to talk about more things like that. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. Awesome information today.
Yeah,
and this
really
is really great. And thank you for joining us today. Hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea of some of the things that we're going to talk about. We're going to try to do a lot more of this content and really dive into, these topics, but also our plan is to bring some people in that we work with, and some case studies, and hear from people that are actually in the trenches like us, that are figuring out how to market their businesses in the digital world. They're digital disruptors just like us. So thanks for joining us. I'm Brad Burrow.
I'm David Jackson.
And we will see you next time.
Take care, everyone.